Hey, I'm Charles Hoffman from Black Ghost Audio. I'm a music producer and educator currently working full-time in the music industry. In this video, we're going to take a look at how long it takes to learn music production as a complete beginner, so someone with no musical background whatsoever. 10 years ago, I was in the position that you're probably in right now. I was in my second year of university, feeling kind of lost and experimenting with a ton of different hobbies. I tried woodworking, skateboarding, photography, and a bunch of other stuff, but the thing that I got really sucked into was music production. I remember sitting down at my computer one day and Googling, how do you produce music? Like, I had no idea what software you needed, what hardware you needed, what skills you needed, or if I even had a shot at producing music since I didn't play any instruments. In every sense of the word, I was about as beginner as it gets. So I found out that you needed a piece of software called a digital audio workstation, or DAW, to produce music. There were a couple popular DAWs at the time. I think Pro Tools, Logic, FL Studio, and Ableton were some of the big names. I decided to download Ableton because that's what a friend of mine who produced music was working with, and he had already been producing music for 3 months, so he knew enough to point me in the right direction. I downloaded Ableton, installed it on my computer, opened it up, and then I realized I had no idea what I was doing. Did I have to record audio into Ableton? Could I make my own sounds? I just had no idea. And back then, there weren't a whole lot of YouTube videos teaching you how to produce music. So I was reading through forums, tracking down blog posts, reading the Ableton user manual, and hitting up people on Reddit with questions. It was like learning music production on hard mode. After really struggling for almost a year and putting 1 to 2 hours into researching and producing music every day, I had finally produced my first song. I was so proud of this song and I couldn't wait to show my girlfriend, so I sat her down in front of my little laptop speakers and pumped up the song really hard. I was like, babe, you're gonna love it. It's EDM and you're into that, so how could you not? I press play, she listens to the whole thing from start to finish, and afterward goes, I don't know if this music production thing is for you. And I'm sure you can imagine how I felt after that. So I dumped my girlfriend and I was like, okay, I gotta get serious about this music production thing if I'm ever gonna become an EDM artist. After that, I pretty much dropped off the face of the earth for a year and just went to town producing music. I would go to university during the day, bartend after school, and then get home and write music until around 4 in the morning and then do the same thing the next day. I'd actually sit in the back of my university classes with headphones on so that I could produce music and nobody would notice. At this point, I'm 2 years in, I've written a bunch of songs, but they still don't sound like the stuff you hear on the radio. The musical ideas are kind of lame, the sounds I'm using are a little cheesy, and the quality of my mixes suck. I had no idea where to start when it came to mixing or mastering my music at a pro level. Despite that, I was still dead set on being able to produce radio quality songs. That was my main goal. If I could just produce one song that was good enough to get played on the radio, I'd be happy. The problem was that I had hit a plateau and I was sort of stuck. I was writing a lot of music, but the quality of it wasn't improving that much. If it was, the gains were really small and felt almost unnoticeable. And because of this, I decided that once I graduated university, I was going to go to school for music production. That's just what every parent wants to hear, right? Their son's going to be an artist. But yeah, they were supportive because they knew it was something I really wanted to do, which was great. I looked around online for the top music production schools in North America. If I was going to do it, I was going to do it right and go to the best music production school I could find. And there was a school in Los Angeles that kept popping up in search results online. As someone who grew up on the prairies in Canada, that was going to be a big lifestyle change if I moved to LA, but I decided to do it anyways. I packed up all my stuff, moved to LA, and went through this music production program. And by the time I graduated, my song sounded great. There were no technical limitations holding me back anymore. I was able to recreate pretty much any sound I heard on the radio. My music theory wasn't an issue for me anymore, and I knew how to mix and master music at quite a high standard. I think it's pretty safe to say that once I had graduated, I knew how to produce music. It's one of those things that you're constantly working on and improving, but I was really confident in what I was creating at this point, and I think that's the level that most people want to get to. From a timeline perspective, it had been about 5 years since I started producing music. Do I think it's going to take you 5 years to learn how to produce music? Well, it depends. If you go entirely down the self-taught route, it could take even longer, and I spent a lot of time during those 5 years producing music every day. There's a big difference between producing music 1 hour a week for 5 years versus 15 to 20 hours a week for 5 years. You have to take that into account. Going to school helped me out a lot. It made sure I had a really well-rounded understanding of things. And if you decide you're going to go to school for music production tomorrow, learning how to produce music is probably going to be a more streamlined process and take less than 5 years. The problem is that going to school is super expensive. Moving to a new city, taking out a huge loan, and paying 20 grand a year in tuition is probably not something that the average person who wants to pick up music production as a hobby is going to do. I just don't think that's realistic. So assuming you want to speed things along without making that type of commitment, what other option do you have? Well, I spent the past year and a half compiling all of the most important music production lessons I've learned throughout the past decade into a video course called Music Production for Beginners. I walk you through the process of producing 3 songs from start to finish, and you learn how to write, record, mix, and master music at home. You don't have to have any previous musical experience. I teach you everything with the assumption that you're brand new to music production. The course includes all the information I wish I knew when I was starting out 10 years ago. I show you how to download Ableton Live and set it up using a custom template. This is the DAW I've been using ever since I started producing music. In the first hour of the course, I walk you step by step through the process of producing a hip-hop beat using audio loops. You'll have an easy win under your belt and a really good idea of what the music production process looks like. After that, I teach you all the music theory you need to know to write chord progressions, rhythms, melodies, and bass lines in Ableton using virtual instruments. And unlike music theory taught by a piano or guitar instructor, which usually focuses on being able to read sheet music, the theory that I share with you is specifically going to help you write songs. You learn how to assemble a highly effective budget-friendly home recording studio with specific gear recommendations. I show you how to build a cheap DIY recording booth that you can use to capture pristine recordings at home. You'll learn reliable recording techniques that result in professional quality vocal and acoustic guitar recordings, in addition to electric guitar and bass recordings. I show you how to blend sounds together to create balanced, rich, and full songs. You'll gain an in-depth understanding of 5 essential mixing tools that you can use to mix any song. And I also show you how to maximize the loudness of your music and prepare it for distribution to streaming services like Spotify through a process called mastering. So if you want a shortcut to producing radio quality songs, this is it. I don't want you to go through the same struggle that I went through or have to pay as much money as I did to learn how to produce music. It shouldn't be that difficult, and I think music production should be accessible to everyone. To get started, all you need is a computer. It can be a PC or a Mac, and a digital audio workstation, which you can download for free. The entire course is project-based, so you're not just watching videos. You're watching videos and constantly putting what you've learned into practice, which is going to help make all this information stick. So if this sounds helpful and you want to dive into writing songs immediately, click the link below. You can produce your first song today, and I'll walk you through the entire process step by step. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Normally, I release music production tutorials on this channel, so if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.